Three Body Problem is a popular science fiction series that has recently been developed into a Netflix series. Over the course of 3 novels, we follow humanity's attempts to subvert an impending alien invasion. It's great science fiction, but this story also belies an important truth about humanity's destructive impulses in modern times. It shows us how we can give in to our darker impulses and destroy everything, or we can look for the light and love ourselves and protect and defend the rich tapestry of humanity. So let's analyze the Three Body Problem and see what we can glean from it about humanity. Three Body Problem opens with a stressful scene, to say the least. The story begins when Wenjie, a young woman in China during Mao's Cultural Revolution, witnesses her father being beaten to death for being a class enemy. She is shipped off to the far reaches of the country to a military base called Red Coast to work on some project because she is a physics student. She begins work on this unknown project, unsure of what it is at first, until she discovers that it is a SETI program, or the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. She helps to develop the project and spends her time sending out the same transmission repeatedly, attempting to contact alien civilizations, until suddenly she makes contact. Okay, it takes her years before she makes contact, but it happens. The alien individual she meets tells her not to make contact again, because though he is a pacifist, other members of his people are not so nice. He warns her of the consequences should she reach out again. But after everything she has seen on Earth, she ignores him and reaches out again, inviting the aliens known as the Santi to Earth. Now, before we move on, please consider hitting that subscribe button. If you like videos like this one, please consider subscribing to the channel. Every little bit helps. You can like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, your choice. Now, let's get back to the video. As the story unfolds, we learn that the Santi are coming to Earth because their planet has something known in physics as the three-body problem, which has rendered it chaotic. Eventually, their planet will be destroyed completely, so they need to find a new home pronto. We learn this from the Santi's welcome wagon, a group of humans who are hiding out on a large ship in the North Atlantic, known very subtly as Judgment Day. They are led by Wenjie and Mike Evans, the son of an oil baron, and are recruiting people who want to bring the Santi to Earth. When Ye's daughter, Vera, learns of her plans, she commits suicide. This brings her protégés together, all brilliant scientists in their own rights. Augie, an applied physicist working on cutting-edge nanofiber technology, Will, a physics teacher, Saul, a physicist, and Jin, another physicist. But there is more going on here than meets the eye. Scientists all over the world are either ending their research or ending their lives. The group is brought together by these mysteries. Why did Vera commit suicide? Why are scientists dropping like flies? And why do the results of most scientific experiments around the world no longer make any sense? The ante of the story is upped when Augie starts seeing the same countdown that the other scientists who died began seeing, until a mysterious woman tells her that if she stops her research, the countdown will stop. Augie complies, and it does, but she is devastated at not being able to continue her world-changing work. At the same time, Jin is given a VR headset by Ye, unaware that it is a recruiting tool for the Santi's support group. She begins to play the game and learns the secret of the Santi, why they are coming to Earth, and how they plan on disabling humans' ability to protect themselves. They have been killing off scientists and making the results of scientific experiments into nonsense to prevent humans from building weapons to destroy them when they arrive 400 years from now. And they are watching us all the time, screwing with our reality using quantum computers, and effectively thwarting any plans we might have to be able to successfully defend ourselves. Jin and Thomas Wade, the man tasked with dealing with this problem, set out to start fighting a war that hasn't even begun yet. They destroy the Judgment Day ship and kill the Santi human supporters on board. They find ways to work around their broken science by augmenting existing technology, and though they fail initially, they make progress quickly, and the future seems bright. Ye's decision was based in an impulsive moment, and not unwarranted, but that moment is the pivotal moment of the series, setting forth events that change the course of modern history. It is a deeply destructive action, and it's difficult not to see how many in modern times might agree with her decision. Though this story was written in 2008, it is much more relevant today. How many people today, given the chance, wouldn't press that button? If happiness levels are at an all-time low, how many people would actually press the button without thinking about how it would affect others not blinded by misery? And how many aren't actively pressing it already? The opening scene of the series, the struggle session in which Ye's father is killed, has become very charged both on the political left and right in America, and whether the Cultural Revolution is persecuting ideas or science. Spoiler, it's both, as the Cultural Revolution was about destroying as much of the old paradigm as possible. Regardless, it is clearly deeply destructive, which both sides of American politics do well these days. So what do I mean by destruction? Destruction of our world, of any world, is a situation where the stability that we have come to know vanishes. The world of the The Santi is a great example. They have no stable sun and moon. The whole of their civilization can be annihilated in a day. Our planet is relatively stable. The sun, the moon, the weather are all relatively predictable. Some of the greatest destruction we have wreaked upon the world has been our choice, not nature's, such as the atomic bombs dropped in Japan, or the many revolutions and wars that have occurred over time in different parts of the world. These are the events that break down the social order, the ability to work and create life and society, to live comfortably with a steady routine. These events set us back. Destructive change ranges from floods and fires, to mass cataclysms, to revolutions and wars, to a series of rocks falling from the sky and killing everything. In modern times, we have chosen to take on little bits of destruction, like January 6th, 9/11, or the pandemic, the war in Gaza or Ukraine. These events have impacted families, the fabric of society. They challenge the comfort and stable nature of our reality on a personal, familial, social, and political level. When events like these happen, the clock stops for progress. There are layers of destruction, not just one thing, but on a scale from the massive to the personal. Excessive drug use, bulimia, smoking, self-sabotage of relationships, these are all kinds of destructions on a personal level. These have always existed across both small and large levels, but the Santi explain why we need to be mindful of how much destruction, and as a result, disruption there is in the world.
Human beings have existed for over 100,000 years. For most of that time, you weren't so different from apes. It took you 90,000 years to get from hunter-gatherer to farmer. How long did it take you to become industrialist?
About 10,000 years.
Atomic power.
200 years.
Computers. The information age.
50 years.
And how long do you think it took us to get from hunting to farming, and farming to industry, and industry to atomic power?
A lot longer. Our planet is stable. Our catastrophes aren't really catastrophes. We've never had to start over. They do every time they get wiped out.
We take our stable world for granted. We only go through small levels of destruction at any given time. And over time, as things have gotten more stable, we have made more strides, more progress, building ever bigger, more expansive, comfortable worlds. We are less and less at the mercy of nature and chance, but each destructive act sets us back just a touch. For example, how 9/11 was not only a horrible moment in our history, but was followed by an economic crisis, the rise of a surveillance state, and the loss of civil liberties for many citizens globally. We are made unaware of our better angels, of our higher impulses for good, decency, and kindness as a result of these disruptive changes. And these days, rather than being grateful for how much stability we have had, how much we have created, we are choosing to move backwards. We see it throughout our world. Our politics and the constant infighting, trying to turn politics into theater to get votes instead of passing policy, trolls on YouTube, in the media, troll farms abroad, those who are aggressively anti-science, those who push strange theories across the political spectrum. They are all advocating for destruction in our world today. They don't need the Santi. They're doing just fine on their own. Can you think of anyone who is advocating for destruction in your world? It seems to be everywhere lately. Even cultural trends, like the ridiculous amount of plastic surgery that many people get, the high levels of suicide, the endless progress from strip malls to houses that are destroying nature, and so much more. In dark moments, only darkness appears. The Cultural Revolution in China is an example of that. Revolution is destruction, and it's not a place where you are going to see the good parts of humanity. In a way, it's similar to our current moment in America. Though we are not experiencing a revolution in the classical sense, a number of factors have created tension between various groups and a kind of internal war of ideas. It fills our hearts with hatred and malice, and Ye's heart was filled with destruction and hatred from seeing the Cultural Revolution, and those thoughts and feelings don't just go away by themselves. The act of inviting the aliens is informed by the trauma of the revolution, of being betrayed many times by her comrades, her father's death, but also seeing her homeland ripped apart in the name of progress. All the beautiful landscapes that are destroyed. In the process of building another government project, Ye meets an American hermit, Mike Evans, the son of an oil baron, who is trying to protect a bird species from the efforts of the loggers in the region. Both seem to believe that humans are evil in the face of nature. She promises to try and keep his site from being used. She is unsuccessful in her efforts, but for her concessions, she meets the young woman who killed her father during the struggle session. The young woman is unrepentant, seeming to claim that pain and suffering are all that there is. No one cries for her losing her arm. Why should she cry for Ye losing her father? It's not just Ye who hates the world at this particular time. We also hate our world. Why do we hate our world so much? Well, Ye is right in that humans can do terrible things, but we can also do good ones. Science is an incredible achievement, but even Ye doesn't much seem to think that it matters. This feeling, this hate, is a kind of self-hatred, because much of science is born of our internal curiosity. It keeps us from just enjoying what is. We cannot be at peace or be ignorant of how things work. Inquiring minds always want to know. There is also a hatred of our instinctual selves. Our need to survive has kept us alive for so long, but it's not a very moral thing. When Augie's invention is used to destroy Judgment Day, she is horrified. She can't live with it. There was no way to get the recordings of the Santee that Mike Evans had made otherwise, but she couldn't handle it. War is a part of our instincts, our need to survive, and in a war for survival, things are going to be horrible. It's not for everyone. There is squeamishness among much of the cast, and probably humanity, which is why many people say that it's pointless to fight a war that is 400 years away. The very act of existence is a hard one. We have to do things we don't want to do, act in ways that contrast with our morality for the sake of survival, but those unfun, nasty, bad things don't take away from the good things in life. Destroying everything around you because you can only see the trees and not the forest leaves only destruction, nothing else. Ye cannot see how humanity has gone astray in this moment, but that it doesn't define humanity as a whole. You have to see the big picture, not the minute details. Very often, they say that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Humans have been both good and bad throughout time, and just because we're bad now doesn't mean we'll stay that way in the future. In fact, the program shows us exactly why we should be fighting for humanity.
It's all for you.
The characters themselves, their relationships, prove Ye to be wrong, and none of them believe in humanity in any capacity. They are all scientists, they are realists that see only evidence and logic. But whether it's Will donating his mind to the Staircase Project for Jin, or buying her a star, or Augie donating her work and making it public, these people all feel love for other people and want to see humanity get better. Will wants to help the woman he loves succeed in her goal. It's his conviction to help a woman he knows he can never be with just because he loves her. And Augie wants to help her ancestors and her family. Or even just the fact that Augie and Jin both feel bad about destroying Mike Evans' ship and killing all those people. Their humanity proves how complex and multifaceted we are and how good we can be, how much we have to offer. Just a quick side note here. It is so funny when the Santee call us bugs, because if you look up the visual depiction of the Santee, this is what comes up. Based on the descriptions, they are literally little ant bug things, and frankly, they don't seem particularly equipped with half of the complexities of humans beyond their technical abilities. You don't have to believe in humanity, in the collective, to believe in the people you love. We all have at least one person, or maybe a pet, but one living being that we love or have loved. Most people can understand what it means to have one thing in their lives that makes them believe in goodness, in love, in ourselves, and in the future of humanity. In the process of protecting ourselves from the Santee, we can find love for ourselves as a species, because truly, we are 100% part of this planet. I think it's interesting that Ye invites them here because their planet is so messed up, but who's to say that they could hack it here? The Earth is a stable planet right now, but it comes with its own problems, and who knows how far along climate change might be by the time they arrive. And what made her think that they would be humble stewards and not destroy the planet in the way we have? One thing that Mike Evans and Ye both miss is by believing humans are evil, you will believe that nature is evil, because we evolved to be this way because of nature. We learned to hoard resources and be greedy because there wasn't always enough. We killed animals and destroyed the natural world around us, because if we didn't, it might kill us. We don't actively remember the days of the large mammals and animals that killed us regularly, like lions and tigers, but our genetics do. If we see ourselves as separate from nature, then we are no different than the people who deny climate change and claim that we have no hand in it. It may look like we have separated ourselves from nature, but it's right here with us. Humans are not the problem. Our inability to live with nature is. And when we allow destructive things to happen, we cannot move beyond the baseline need to survive in ourselves. We will remain those people. We built our modern mechanized world, but didn't learn how to deal with the evolutionary behaviors that kept us alive for so long. The real challenge is learning how to harmonize our world with our internal behaviors and the natural world. It's a challenge, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. I think the funniest part of all of this is that after I read the plot summary of the book, I immediately thought of Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction. In fact, when I started planning the video, I wanted to reference a famous story about him. And then, right after Ye contacts the aliens, the next episode is titled Destroyer of Worlds and opens with a visual of a statue of Shiva in the form of Nataraja. The antidote to Ye's pain is in his story. Though Shiva is a destroyer, he has the wisdom and discernment of a god. Shiva knows when destruction is the only answer. Humans don't have that kind of perspective. He's a yogi and an ascetic, someone who spends his days meditating and contemplating contemplating. Though we are at his mercy, we are not bugs. We are one part of a greater whole and connected to him. In the famous story of the Samudra Manthan, or the churning of the ocean, the gods and demons of the Hindu pantheon come together to churn the ocean of the universe and see what comes out. Many great things come out of it, but a lethal poison also comes out. They can't put it back in, and it could destroy all of creation. So someone must drink it. Shiva takes it, but he doesn't swallow it. He holds it in his throat forever, turning it blue as we often see in pictures. I'm sure there are many interpretations of this story, but for me personally, the meaning has changed over the years. As I have experienced painful things, I have come to understand why people lash out at each other, how pain begets more pain, and how the cycle of violence actually works. But I don't want to participate, so I've learned to cope instead. What I have learned is what I call holding the poison. In the same way that Shiva held the poison, I try to hold my pain within me. I don't let it go towards others, and I work hard not to let it seep into me and make me bitter. It's a challenge to say the least, but it's about looking in the mirror and knowing who I am. In this way, when we experience painful things, we can continue the cycle of violence and allow them to hurt other people in the way that Ye did, or we can hold it within ourselves and hope for a better future. Now, this is not to say that Ye or Mike or the people on the boat are deficient because they can't handle the pain of the modern world or their personal lives. They just see their own pain and the pain of humanity as an absolute. Ultimately, the problem is not the pain or the problems of humanity, but the fact that we have no tools to process the pain and let go and forgive. After I went through painful things, I knew that I did not want to perpetuate them towards other people. But it took me a long time and a lot of suffering to figure out how to turn that pain into something better and how to hold on to it so that it wouldn't hurt people. We don't offer many processes or psychological ways of thinking about pain and suffering so that it can be used for good rather than bad. And that's the real problem. Three-Body Problem is great science fiction, but in modern times it feels too real. In the past, we dreamed of traveling to the stars and making friends with aliens of all different kinds. Now we see only enemies and pray that someone will come to destroy us, put us out of our overpopulated misery. Though Ye claims that she invited the Santi to help us, it seems clear, at least in the series, that she thinks we are beyond help. Despite her lack of belief in humanity, she still offers us the solution of how to deal with the Santi problem, which will be explained in the next series, but if you want to know, just go ahead and read the books. The solution that the rest of humanity comes up with to the fact that the Santi are always watching and destroying science is the program introduced at the end, known as the Wall-Facer program. It's literally as it sounds, because the Santi cannot understand lying or deception, and they can't read human minds, and so they are vulnerable to our most basic trait. 3 people are picked, including Saul from the original gang of scientists. They are all asked to come up with plans to stop the Santi, but never to tell anyone what it is. The program itself proves that humans are inscrutable. Even Ye's decision before she dies to give Saul the solution to the Santi problem proves how inscrutable humans are. You can never know what is in someone's heart. Saul himself isn't even sure why he is picked, given that the other 2 people are much more powerful and impressive. Yet the Santi try to kill him twice in the last episode. This internal world of ours makes us powerful enemies, while making life quite stressful in terms of being able to connect with others. We never quite know what someone is thinking, and so you can never know the true nature of a human or humanity, which always varies. Truly, it's easy to say that I or someone else might be able to make different choices faced with the possibility of an alien civilization coming to Earth. In the end, we can only try to see the good and fight the destructive impulses that emanate from all of us, and we can only place our faith within ourselves, or even in a deity like Shiva, and pray. Ultimately, the small decisions that humans make determine whether we are a good people worth believing in or a bad people worth destroying. In Ye's decision to destroy humanity, she chose the latter rather than the former, and currently, we are choosing the latter rather than the former as well. Humans are so strange and fascinating. We can barely understand ourselves, and the Santi have no clue. We can either label ourselves as one thing and doom creation to an end, or we can accept the multifaceted complexity of life and try to make the best of it. Three-Body Problem tells us this, even if it doesn't realize it. In humans choosing to fight rather than simply laying down arms and waiting for the aliens to arrive, we choose to love ourselves, even in the face of the madness of our planet and of our existence. We choose to embrace the good parts of our being, the parts that are loving, generous, penitent, and kind, and as long as those pieces exist, then there is hope for life yet. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. It's free. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!